Wait. All right. Make sure I'm good here. I want to make sure I'm all for not catching what I'm looking for here. All right. So as I told you guys, I was gonna go in. I want to talk about a couple of things. Told you I'd come back. I'd speak on it. Um, Goals and ambition, man. I'm sorry that I got to get onto this topic so fast. But I definitely want to talk about it because a lot of people don't understand that you need your goals and your ambition. A lot of men nowadays, man, I'm to say a little bit at the least. I'm 36. I look like whatever I look like. I'm not sure, but I'm closer to 40 than I am 21. Um, I consider myself a professional. I go to work. I do what I do. I ain't gonna go into what I do. Um, but I'm one of those people that like to make sure I get the job done. So a lot of things I'm going to talk about is going to come from experience, and a lot of things I'm going to tell you guys are going to come from what I see as the experience. So feel free to chime in, tell me where you think I'm a little bit off, or where you don't see that I'm staying on point from what I'm trying to say. But I'm going to start off with the goals and ambition, right? Why do you need both? Well, let's just make this very plain and simple, right? When you start off, a goal can be anything in the world. My man, you could be telling me right now that you want to be the best pilot in the world when you go to the Air Force. That sounds amazing, right? And it's great. I love anybody that has those type of ambitions and want to go do things, right? What I don't enjoy is people that have those goals and your ambitions are fleeting, right? You need the ambition to go to where you want to go. So you're going to need every bit of those goals centered around the ambition that you have to get there. So let's talk about, you know, what is the difference? So a goal is setting a marker, man. That's just saying, hey, this is where I want to get to. I want to attain this point at some point in my life, and that's amazing. Everybody has different goals they want to attain. The ambition is what kept you pushing forward to get to where you wanted to go, right? A lot of guys will sit here and talk about it. So many people that I graduated with that they might have had, many a goals. A lot of guys smarter than I was. I thought, could do many things, but the ambition is what's going to push you to do the things that you're afraid of doing, things you don't want to do, right? You might not think that you qualify as something, and this goes for anything, dating, any life experience. Like if you don't have the ambitions to push yourself past those scary phases, then you're never going to make it to the point that you want to be at, right? And that's why it's important to have the ambition and the goals. But the problem is the distractions. And why do those distractions matter? Those distractions tend to matter the most because as you're on your journey, what you need to understand is that your ambitions and your goals are at the beginning of what you're looking for when you start. All right, so what do I mean by that, right? Any goals you have is the final stage of what you're looking to have, achieve, or be a part of, right? But when you want to get to those goals, yeah, the ambition's great, but you got to start from somewhere. You can't just be like, hey, yeah, I want to get here, and I got all the ambition in the world, and you're hype and hype, but it's just word of mouth. You bumping gums. I don't really care too much about what you're talking about if you're not putting plans in place to make it to where you want to go, right? Because ambitions will fleet. Your goals can stay the same forever. I always want to be a millionaire. How you getting there? I'm ambitious. But what have you done to set the groundwork to get to that point? You can be as ambitious as you want to be. There's a lot of ambitious people in the world. But what are you doing to get there, right? And this is why Batman is my idol. Now, if you can't tell, I'm a little bit of a Batman fan. If I put you around the cave a little bit, which you can get a tour of the cave, I'll make a little video about that at some point. You can see the cave for yourself. But at the end of the day, you'll see Batman's everywhere. I'm huge on Batman. But why? It's because Batman is the absolute businessman, if you think about it, which is why he has one of the best businesses in the comic book, universe. Now everybody's gonna look at me and say, "Oh, the comic book universe." Like, I get it, man. I understand. Like, comic books are comic books. But at the same time, we're not just talking about comic books. We're talking about how does that translate to real world. Now I'm gonna explain that to you. So Batman, right? If there's ever an ambitious person, Batman is a comic book phenomenon for a reason. And the reason for that is that Batman is supposed to be the pinnacle of human ability, right? He is determined. He is ultimate at prepping. He's ready to get everything right. Think about yourself as a business person, right? If you want to be in that light, or you want to be thought of in those ways, right? So again, that goals and ambition. Batman always has an end goal. His ambition is probably second to nobody. So because of that, he's setting himself forward. So part of what I'm about to say right now, and what I want to get you to understand is, if you're saying ambitious and goals, then let's think Batman, right? Because you have to add something in there, right? What's your prep? What are you prepping to do? Because prep leads to implementation. And that was the part that I've left out so far. So this part that I'm going to bring in, ambition. You start with ambition. Awesome. You transfer into preparation. That preparation is what's going to get you ready to be great. Because if you walked into work yesterday and you noticed that the same three people tend to come at you 4 out of the 7 days of the week, and they say the same exact things to you every single time, or word they're framing around certain things, or they're going to complain about certain things, what are you doing to prep for it? You know it's going to happen. It tends to be something that continues to happen, right? So I'm going to prep for that situation. I'm going to change my wording. I'm going to change my conversation. I'm going to change the way I approach them to make this situation start to change and evolve into what I need. But that starts with the prep. And now I'm already prepping because my ambitions tell me I want to be great. So I'm going to go ahead and prep for that next day at work every day, and I'm ready to go. Right. All right. So let's move over for that. Right. So what does prep do? Prep gets you ready for implementation. Why implementation? Because that's the next phase. That's the next goal. How do you put these plans in place to try to start achieving that goal? Well, you have to implement, right? You want to be a big time rapper, you want to be a big time song person. Well, that's great. You can put out as, unless you're that one hit wonder or whoever you are that can put out something on the internet that's catchy, great. But if you really want to build your presence, you want to go out there and you want to do shows. So your ambitions better push you a little bit past you being afraid to get up there and start getting on that mic and talking to people that you ain't used to being in front of. That's just what it is, right? Like, you're gonna say what you want to say, you're gonna do what you want to do, right? So now you're moving into implementation. So you're out there doing these shows. You're out there having, that presence that, let's just say simple weird numbers and put it in the business fashion so I could throw it at you. But you do a show in front of 100 people. You did that, 4 times this month. So every week you went out and did a show in front of 100 people. If you maintained one person that likes your music out of all of that, then you got 4 new people that are going to watch you from that point on. Now that sounds crazy or push it, but I'd rather 4 people that really like what I do and then push my word of mouth and get people put on to me than 100 people that saw me but weren't going to pay to see me again, because those 4 are going to keep pushing. And the goal is to retain one. So if you keep a mentality like that with any business and ambition and goals that you have, that's the implementation. You want to know that you're going to fail a lot of times. This is going to happen, but you're going to put that work in anyway, because when you do succeed, the gains continue to stack up. So you go from that implementation to not forgetting that you have a goal, because once you implement, you're still at the beginning phase. And I want you to remember that part. And that's the biggest part you have to understand. You don't just see the success and the gain and the life and the everything that you were looking for right then and there. No. You just implement it. Now, this is when that's going to start paying off. And this is when your ambition becomes your best friend. Because if you're willing to fail right now, because you're not seeing what you're trying to see in the first month, 2 months, 3 months, or whatever the case may be, you're never going to be successful like you want to be successful. How are you ever going to be that successful? You're giving up right when you're starting to make things work. You may not be seeing it, but those 3 people you maintained, those 4 people you maintained, well, that's 4 more than you had a month ago. If you did it again next month, or you had a better month and you did 8 this time, well, guess what? You just went from 4 to 8. That's 8 more people that's found you. That's 8 more people that's spreading out their wings and they're pushing your stuff or constantly listening to it so somebody else can. And this is the point that I'm trying to make, ambition, because the hardest phase comes after the implementation. It doesn't happen right when you started with your ambitions. It starts after You start putting this into work and you fail. But you know what? Sooner or later, you stop failing and you start seeing progress. And then those ambitions, it's like kindle inside of a fire. Lights starts to simmer, start getting a little more fire. And then it starts building because when you start seeing that progress start to come after a while, that's where it comes from. And that's why a lot of times, like, I want y'all to understand, like, it doesn't matter. No matter what I walk over there and I look at and see, this is my first stream where I'm going out really and actually streaming with you guys and, moving my conversation into more of the conversation that we're going to start talking about on the Pop Off podcast, man. It can go anywhere, right? We gonna pop off, man. You say what you gotta say, right? Let's deliver what we can deliver. Let's have these conversations. But I'm gonna talk about the things that's gonna get you moving a little bit. Goals and ambitions is something I feel like as a grown man we need to start having, right? Like I want you to put as much energy as you're putting into these females out here, into yourself as a man, man. I want you to do the right things to build yourself up. They gonna come when you do what you need to do. That's just what it is. We ain't perfect, man. I'm not perfect at all. I got a, I got a lot, man. I'm on the top of the food chain when it comes to problems. But at the end of the day, man, I also come from nothing. I'm also a person that comes from the bottom of the bottom. My street name was Aladdin when I was younger. You know what I mean? I'm from the foster care system. I ain't never had nobody. If you watch some of my videos or if you look up some of my videos, you'll see I'll explain to you some of the things I've been through or the way I've seen life. Um, on my come up, and it'll tell you a lot about why I say the things I say or where I'm at in life. But I come up from foster children. I come up from being on the streets. I come up from not having nobody there for me. You know what I mean? Age of 5 years old on, I'm a foster child, and I'm bouncing around in the system. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get adopted. Me and my family had different circumstances, so you're going to see a lot of things. And at no point do I feel as though any of that was if you'd asked me years ago, I would have told you it was a drawback for me or, I had all these problems from it. But when you grow, you start to understand that like anything that be used against you can also be used as a strength for you. You know, you could look at it as I bounced around in all these different places. I seen all these different people and it made me mentally unstable and blah, 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 blah. But when you do that, what are you really making yourself out to be besides a victim? I don't do victims. We're not going to do that, right? At the end of the day, I learned a lot. I got a lot of experience that most people aren't going to get, and being able to have those experiences and be able to share those with my children. I got kids. Like you share those experiences with them and give them a life that they don't have to live that way. And that's why my goals and ambitions, my goal is to give my family everything I can, give my kids what I can, give them a new life. My ambitions, my ambitions are tied to my goals. It's the same family that I'm fighting for. So um, I wanted to put that out and I just wanted to tell you guys, make sure you understand that you put a lot of work in to be great. And, I'm gonna end with this, somebody and I'm gonna respond to the comments. I'll get back. Make sure I do. I'm actually gonna drop another stream tonight, so I'll be getting back on. There's something else I want to talk about, but I want to keep it light and really want people to dabble in. And if uh, can appreciate the content, then I'll be dropping again about 11 o'clock. I'll be opening up a stream. I want to do a stream for about 10-15 minutes. Really talk to the guys, and this time be a little more interactive. But I just want to drop a little bit on you guys from what I had. But I'll be streaming a little bit later if you want to definitely get some content, drop me some comments, and I'm gonna definitely make sure I respond back and forth. But what I was gonna leave with, a lot of times when I'm at work, I will have either my associates or my employees that are underneath me, or guys that are next to me, ask me like, "Why are you working so hard?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, take it out, you know, take a seat back. And it's wild to me because I don't understand take a seat back because I always knew leaving out of uh, placement when I was younger that I had nowhere to go, regardless. So at the end of the day, I was going out on the street because I seen so many of my peers go out on the street before me, um, coming out. So it was make it or don't. So college was a guarantee. I had to do it, and I had to find a way there, regardless of what sport I had to play to get there to do it. So that was always my thing. And then just knowing that when I go to work and people say that, it's weird to me, and it's only weird to me because I feel like that's the mindset, right? That's the person that you are. That's what you want to do. as a person. So you're going to push and promote to be the best you can be. And the best experience you'll ever get is life. And because I've learned life, such a hard, harsh environment, it taught me life coming up. So being in those harsh environments don't make me as nervous. It makes me eager to figure out what I have to conquer to be better. So I don't know. I don't know if this touched home for anybody or will. I doubt anybody even looked at it or have any views, but it doesn't matter. That's not what I do it for. I want to definitely make sure that, if it did touch somebody, I hope, yeah, take it and go where you want to go with it and speak to me. But I'll be streaming again at 11 o'clock. So you want to drop your, advice, anything you want to talk about, please put it in there. Until then, you're in the Bad Cave. You're with Mac, man. You're at the Pop Off Podcast. Thanks for being here, man. And until next time, I'll see you again.